Hosted by the African People's Socialist Party. My name is Anai, formerly known as Akile, former state council candidate. I first want to offer my profound condolences to the family of Dominique Harris, a 20-year-old young African man who was brutally executed by the St. Petersburg Police Department on the evening of Wednesday, December 2nd. It's under these circumstances that we have this press conference today. We felt it necessary to have this conference to define the narrative of the crimes that were committed against the African community in this city on Wednesday, to raise up the demands of the Black community in response to such a horrific murder, and to lay out the way forward for our people. The murder of Dominique Harris is not unfamiliar. This modern-day lynching carried out by the St. Pete Police on behalf of its mayor, Rick Kreisman. We've seen it happening sometimes on camera, all summer with the murder of George Floyd in Minneapolis, Minnesota, in Louisville, Kentucky with the murder of Breonna Taylor, and the scores of Africans murdered in this country by police every single day. We saw this same execution happen just a block up from where I stand today, in 1996, with the murder of 18-year-old Tyron Lewis. And following those murders, the police get to work with their media. I'm talking about the Tampa Bay Times and all the different media entities that report to the scenes of these murders. They collaborate with the police to get their story straight and begin the process of murdering Black people a second time with a vicious slander campaign to justify their murders. They are doing this right now with Dominique Harris. The news reports continue their assault on this brother, who is no longer with us, mentioning his rap sheet along with the fact that they killed this brother with 38 bullets. Those police officers surrounded this one brother and shot into his car 50 times. Africans in this community say it looked like something out of a video game. It's important for us to call this murder and all murders like it what it is: colonialism. This was an act of colonial terror on our communities carried out by the police department. This murder was necessary to show Black people what can happen to us at any given time. We are under assault every day by this government, being forced out of our communities through gentrification, surrounded by luxury apartments and condos, living in a community with no legitimate economy, no political power, the most humiliating circumstances ever forced onto a human being. The police occupy our communities on every corner, harassing and brutalizing African people and making examples out of us. This is colonialism. We stand here today to offer the real context for the execution of Dominique Harris. We don't want the police's account. We don't want Pinellas County Sheriff Killer Bob Gaultier's account. We don't want the media's explanation. We demand the ability to give our own. More than that, we are demanding Black community control of the police. Our fight has to be one for power in our own hands, to be able to hire, fire, train, and discipline the security forces within our communities. We want the power to police ourselves, to conduct our own investigations. We want the immediate withdrawal of the colonial police from our communities. That's the St. Pete Police, the Sheriff's Department, and every task force, special investigations unit, crime watch entity, you name it, they must go. We must, as the African community, struggle to capture economic and political power over our lives to ensure nothing like this can ever happen again, especially without consequences. The Black community demands justice for Dominique Harris and reparations to his family. We join in the call with Ms. Davenport demanding a transparent investigation into Dominique's murder. The officers involved in the shooting must be arrested immediately and indicted for the murder of Dominique Harris. We demand a release of the names of the officers involved in this shooting. We demand to know who these murderers are. We want a public admission from Mayor Rick Kreisman and his puppet police chief Holloway that the murder of Dominique Harris had nothing to do with any warrant he allegedly had, that their officers murdered him in cold blood, and they should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. Our demands will not be met in a courtroom. Our demands are met by organizing under the leadership of the Black community to end colonial violence. From 1996 to 2020, the conditions of Black people have only worsened. We must organize for Black community control of the police. We're Petersburg who are tired of living under fear of colonial domination, who want to organize for power to join the African People's Socialist Party. Thank you. I would now like to bring up Corey Gibbons, who will be making a statement on behalf of Dominique Harris's mother.
Thank you, Akile. Again, I think this is a tragic situation what occurred. My name is Corey Gibbons Jr., C-O-R-E-Y-G-I-V-E-N-S, member of the Poor People's Campaign in the St. Petersburg branch of the NAACP. And I stand today on behalf of the Harris family, speaking on behalf of Dominique's mother, Miss Davenport, who is mourning the loss of her son. And the reason we've assembled today, and I thank Akile for the invitation, is because we want to demand accountability and transparency. And from the beginning, that has been lost. This mother had to find out that her son was murdered less than 30 feet behind me, where you still see glass laying on the ground. She had to find out that her son was murdered on television because the sheriff, the mayor, the police chief, nobody thought about her enough to call her and let her know that her son was dead. 50 rounds were shot, 38 bullets hit his body. Whether he was right or whether he was wrong, whether he made good choices or whether he made bad choices, he was somebody's son, somebody's brother, somebody's grandson, and he did not deserve to be slaughtered in cold blood in broad daylight less than 5 blocks away from 2 schools. I saw children walking down the street as the gun shootout was occurring. It was like a war zone around here. You had police officers standing on top of cars. It was like Grand Theft Auto. I don't care what he done. It did not constitute him being murdered the way he was. Per Miss Davenport, not a single officer ever knocked on her door, ever called her phone, ever bothered to properly investigate her son if he was suspected of a crime leading up to this shooting. In fact, what they did was they ambushed him right here at this corner store. This is like the 1990s all over again when Tyrone Lewis was murdered. We've been pressing the St. Petersburg police chief, we've been pressing Mayor Kreisman to make sure that not just some officers, but every officer on the St. Pete police force is armed with a body camera. Because if we had a body camera on the officers that were here that day, there would be no question about what happened, what transpired that day. Because accountability would be served on both parts, both on the people and the police that have been sworn to protect and to serve this community. But what we're going to do is we're going to turn our anger into action. And we're going to say enough is enough. We want to take back our streets from the violence that's been plaguing it, from the police that have been threatening us, by not protecting us, by not serving us the proper way. We want to make sure that accountability is implemented today. We don't need to wait to test the body cameras because we already know that what they're going to tell us is the truth. The whole truth and nothing but the truth. So on behalf of Miss Nikki Davenport, 20-year-old Dominique Harris's mother, we demand a full, clean, and thorough investigation of what transpired on December 3rd right here in this park. Thank you very much.
We will now open it up to the media for any questions.
I know the Sheriff's Office is doing an investigation with the countywide task force center where they investigate other departments and all that. Just tell us about what your thoughts on just until the results, all their findings are out, and just what do you hope either this brings about or what you would like instead?
Well, I think it's contradictory for the Pinellas County Sheriff's Department, who's notorious for murdering African people in the city of St. Petersburg, to be conducting any kind of investigation with the special task force, that they are also responsible, for the ongoing murders of African people in this city, and that our demand is for Black community control of the police and power in our own hands to be able to investigate this crime ourselves, to be able to prosecute the murderers, the police who are involved in the murder of Dominique Harris. That's what we demand. That's what our struggle is for our community. be met with the same lethal or aggression as Dominique Harris was, any of those police officers that were involved in the murder. So it has to be on our community to have the power in our own hands to investigate, to conduct a thorough investigation, and to indict these police officers, these murderers of Dominique Harris.
Now, there's reports that at least one, possibly two officers were shot. I was off, I didn't hear the whole entire thing, but just, do you want to wait till these findings to find out whether or not, it doesn't really matter who kind of fired first too, but the fact that there was danger on both ends, and people that walking by, as mentioned that there was people walking by with this gunfire going on. Should we wait for just some of the other facts, maybe witnesses who, I know there's a video out there, that might be able to come forward and say what they saw?
Dominique Harris can't wait for anything. He's dead. Dominique Harris is dead. He was shot 38 times, shot at 50 times, and 38 bullets penetrated his body. The rest of the story is finished. It's concluded. Dominique Harris is dead. There's the violence that was carried out that day, the ambush that happened, the police officers who were involved in a situation that they shouldn't have been in the first place if they weren't busy occupying our community and inflicting this colonial terror on our people, wouldn't have been caught in any kind of situation that they may have been. They were here looking for a problem. They were here to assault and brutalize our community, and that's exactly what happened. It came out with the murder of a 20-year-old African young man in the city, and it resulted in the grieving mother of Miss Davenport having to have the responsibility of burying her child. That, to me, the story is finished. There's nothing else that needs to come out. This is not new news. This is not something that's happened randomly. The story is finished. The police occupy our community as a military occupying force with a job to kill and to contain our people. That's exactly what happened. That's the story.
So you dispute the facts and that they were there trying to investigate a warrant where the deceased is accused of body slamming a teenager on a basketball court.
That's all a part of the slander campaign that's being waged against this brother who is already dead. The second death that I'm talking about that the media is involved in making against this young brother, that's a part of justifying this murder. Nobody's bringing up the rap sheets of these police officers. In fact, we don't even know their names. We don't know the crimes that they've committed on an ongoing basis in our community. Release their names, release their rap sheets. I want to know what they've done.
Right.
Yeah, he hasn't been accused. They were investigating on a warrant that he was looking into.
I don't care what the police, I don't care what the mayor, I don't care what any of them, these criminals, have to say about what this brother has done. The crimes committed against this community on an ongoing basis. I'm standing in front of a corner store in the middle of a food desert in serious poverty on the south side of St. Petersburg, Florida. That is criminal. Yeah. That is crime that's continuously being committed. Where is the police going into Rick Kreisman's office right now and arresting Rick Kreisman for these murders? For gentrification, for the ongoing genocide of our community. Where's that investigation? We're here today to talk about the murder of Dominique Harris that is a part of an ongoing assault on our community.
So shouldn't we wait for all the facts to come out?
We have all the facts we need to know that Dominique Harris is dead as a result of colonial violence. That's just the fact. That's the absolute truth. There's nothing else that needs to be investigated. And all investigation by the police department and their task force are going to do is to justify the murder of Dominique Harris, which is already happening. It's what the media is doing, justifying this brother's death. Nothing else we need to know. Any other questions? All right, well, that will conclude today's press conference. Thank you all so much for being in attendance. And again, I want to encourage all of those who want to get involved, who want to get organized, because that's what it's going to take to join the African People's Socialist Party, to join the Uhuru movement, and organize for Black community control of the police. Because it won't happen in a courtroom. Mayor Rick Kreisman's not going to grant it to us. It's going to happen because we have made it happen. We organize ourselves, our community, under the leadership of the Black working class. That's how we get this job done. Thank you all so much.